Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Hall of Famer Bob Berry ruled Milwaukee's airwaves in the 60s and 70s. He spoke with countless musicians and celebrities over the years. Bob collected remarkable recordings of these encounters, which he's now sharing with the public. Here's Bob.
Well, if you remember the Waltons TV show, I'm sure you'll remember John Boy Walton, played by Richard Thomas. Richard won an Emmy, received 2 Golden Globe Awards for his performance on the show. He appeared in the FX spy thriller The Americans and on Netflix in Ozark. Thomas had a great background, with his parents being dancers with the New York City Ballet, and they owned the New York School of Ballet. At age 7, he made his Broadway debut in Sunrise at Campobello. He has since appeared in many Broadway shows. His film roles included Winning with Paul Newman. You'd never guess where this interview took place.
We're in the executive boardroom here with Richard Thomas. Richard, best known for his Emmy Award-winning portrayal of John Boy on the Waltons, recently published his second book of poems, In the Moment. His first was Poems by Richard Thomas, won the Robert Frost Award. And, he's been autographing the book here at the downtown Gimbel store. When did you decide to be a poet, Richard?
Well, I never really did decide. It sort of started deciding on me. Poetry picked me when I was about 5 years old. I gave my first book of poems to my parents as a Christmas present for my 5th Christmas, and I've just been doing it ever since.
Well, congratulations on that Hallmark Hall of Fame show, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Thank you.
Was it a disturbing movie to make for you?
Oh, sure it was. I mean, it was a disturbing place to be, first of all, Czechoslovakia, a very different way of life. The project is a very depressing picture to be a part of. It was hard physical work, it was hard dramatic work, and there are not a lot of jokes in that show. And so it was a strenuous job, but I was intensely gratified with the product that we ended up putting on the air.
How long did it take to film?
We shot it in 46 days, which is eight weeks of filming. 10 weeks in Czechoslovakia, 8 weeks of principal photography.
How much actual time is involved for you? Rehearsal and, everything that...
Well, I got the script about a month before I started the picture, and we rehearsed for a period of about 2 weeks. I had a couple of meetings where I flew in and out of London to meet with the director and the producer and people like that, and made the picture. And then, of course, there's post-production where you loop and do the narration, and then there's selling the picture afterwards on a publicity tour. I'd say all in all, I've been involved in it since May.
You plan on doing any more work on the Waltons? Have they asked you to do a guest appearance, or John Boy comes back?
Well, I did a couple of shows right after I left, and they talked about it for a while. But it was never my intention really to go back, and they have somebody else doing the role now.
So you don't really miss the show then, huh?
Oh no, I don't miss doing it. I mean, I enjoyed doing it. It was great. It was a very gratifying and very pleasing show to be a part of. But at the end of 5 years, it's time to move on, and in my way of thinking, the best way to move on is just to do it. I mean, when you go, and it makes it easier for me to proceed onward with my career if I don't keep stepping back into the same wardrobe periodically. It has nothing to do with my feeling about the show, which is a show that I admire very much and continue to admire, but it has to do with the logistics of work.
Was that your first really big break?
Well, when you've been acting for 22 years, your whole life is a series of really good breaks, and they all build together. I mean, if I hadn't made a wonderful picture called Red Sky at Morning, Earl Hamner and Bob Jacks, the producer of the picture, wouldn't have seen me in it and asked me to do The Homecoming. If I hadn't done The Homecoming, CBS wouldn't have had the idea to do the series, and it all goes together. Obviously, a television series is a monster public relations thing. I mean, you get out to a lot of people know you have incredible exposure throughout the world, and so it has a great deal to do with achieving fame. Every step of the way is included, and everything that you go through contributes, hopefully, to every succeeding piece of work. And so you are always standing where you are as a result of the accumulation of your previous experiences in work, I think. It all adds up, and every important piece of work you do is a break.
I know you were 6 years old when you started out, and I guess you've got to have a baby now that's, well, not your baby anymore, but youngster that has been, to the Opera House already, and has been all over.
He's 3. Richard's 3 now, and he's sort of traveled a lot. He went on his first location in Arkansas when he was a month old, and he was in Czechoslovakia with us, and he's been on the set a lot. And he likes to go to the theater, and he likes to listen to music. He's a theater baby, no doubt about it. He's doing very well. He's in New York now with my parents.
Are you going to help him with acting? Are you going to try to steer him that way?
Well, no. I mean, the most I can do is offer the opportunity of being involved in a business that I find very satisfying and very healthy. Whether or not he wants to move in that direction, or whether or not he has the talent, the ability to move in that direction, are two things that just are unknown. I mean, he may want a used car lot. If he's good at selling used cars, that's what he should do. If that's what he wants.
In your book, your book of poems, your latest, In the Moment, is there a favorite you have in there that you'd do a reading for us?
Well, I don't have any favorites. If there's a favorite you have, I'll read it for you. Since we're talking about my son, I'll read a very brief one that was written for him.
Which is on page, for those of you who have the book, you want to follow along?
Page 29. It's called A Small Hand. A small hand appeared, warm and sudden, with the texture of life, a witness to loneliness who took hold and led out of the old sullen circle into the house of the heart's fitness, so tiny and so bold.
Richard Thomas from In the Moment, and thank you very much, Richard. I'll tell you, you are a real credit to your industry, and certainly a lot of young people and old people alike love you.
Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to talk. This is Richard Thomas with Bob Berry in the Morning on WOKY.
Bob Berry. Thank you for listening to Bob Berry's Unearthed Interviews. Be sure to subscribe and rate our podcast on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts. You can find all the episodes at WisconsinBroadcastingMuseum.org. Check out Bob Berry's book, Rock and Roll Radio Milwaukee. Book sale proceeds support Angels Kids Fund and Donate Life Wisconsin. The preceding program was made possible by a generous contribution from Terry Bond.